Hey there, Sinmeister. How can I limit the rotation of a camera? Or a spaceship, it seems. So I made a small prototype built from the flying content example that is that you can get when starting a new project. And the mechanics that I implemented is just that you cannot turn further than a set direction. You can't go up or down, left or right, more than the amount that I said. I didn't make any mechanics that would make it so that when you hit a wall, you get shifted back into position. Um, but we're gonna start with this and the whole wall thing. I mean, I did make a mechanic that did that earlier, but then I started having fun, and I made it so that my game, when I hit anything, I just crash and burn basically. Um, Okay, so as you can see, I can go more up, I can go further down. This is as far left. Whoa, it's as far right. Okay, and here's my little level that I just ended up having fun with. Um, and you know, oh geez, blueprints is something that I'm pretty good at, but lighting is not, and I could not figure out why my pillars were not getting any lighting, and I just gave up after 2-3 tries. But that's not the purpose here, so we're gonna go in the blueprint and see what I did to limit the character's movement, or the pawn's movement in this case. Okay, so this is a flying example. Um, you know, I got rid of the roll, so I just unplugged this, and that's basically it. So it looks a little bit messy. I apologize for that. Okay, but basically there's nothing really changed. Just ignore these branches for now. These are just things that I added for my mechanics of of hitting the walls. Basically, that's all these branches are there for that. When you hit a wall. Okay. Now this branch though is important for you. Okay, so I divided this in two. Up here we have my pitch and then the yaw. Alright? The reason I did this is because in both instances I have to check the values. In here I'm checking my rotation of the pitch, and over there I'm checking the rotation of my yaw. Okay, so oh yeah, I guess you do need a sequence to split those two up. Okay, so the first thing I had done is, this is what they had in the first place, and they had the pitch and the roll plugged in. So I took all that out, and in this case I wanted to use a yaw, and here I wanted to use a pitch. So both of these things are basically the same thing. So we're just going to look at one of them, the yaw. Okay, so I start off by checking, is my oh wait, this is a little private thing I made. Okay, so I check my rotation of the yaw, and I say, is it bigger than 35, or is it bigger than 35 and smaller than 35, which means that if both of these statements are true, my rotation is in between those two values. If either of these statements are false, it means that it's outside of the boundaries of these two variables, right? So if it's true, it's because it's either below minus 35, like something, probably in this case would end up being minus 35 point something, and or bigger than 35, which would be 35 point something in this case. And then it would return false. Okay. And what happens when this returns false? Again, I had to split it up in two because, well, if I'm over the 35 number, which is on the right, I don't want to be able to turn further right. I want to be able to turn left only. And same if I went further to the left. Okay, this is, well, in this case, this would be I want to turn right. And in this case would be I want to turn left. I want to turn left. Okay. And the way to do that is kind of simple. I don't know if you're familiar with min and max math expressions. If you're not, I'm going to explain them pretty quickly. Otherwise, if you know what they are, just set it up like this and it's going to work. Okay. But if you don't know what they are, basically a min expression will take the two values and return the smallest. Okay, so in this case, let's say this value is 25, and I set this to 0, it's going to return 0. Okay, if the value is 10, it's going to return 0. If the value is minus 5, it's going to return minus 5, because that is the minimum. And maximum works in a similar way. If the value is 5, it's going to return 5 because 5 is the maximum value. If the number is minus 10, then it's going to return 0, right? So in these instances, what happens is it's going to return, here I'm looking for a max number, so anything below 0 is going to return 0. If I'm giving it minus 20, it's going to return 0. So here I'm looking for something bigger because I want to turn right. And if it's in the negative, it's in the 0. So I want to get a positive number here. So I need something above 0. So if I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and up, it's going to return that, which is what I want. And the same thing happens here. I'm looking for, well, not the same thing, it's the opposite. I'm looking for a negative number, so I set a minimum instead of a maximum. Okay, so that's how that works, and how I can restrain my player from turning further than said number. And here, I added this thing, whoops, actually that's not right, just so that I wouldn't have to manually change the numbers when I was testing it out. Because let's say you say, oh well, you know, 35 is too big of an angle, I want to restrain the angle to 15, or it's not enough, I want him to be able to turn all the way up to 65. And as you're testing, you know, if you want to avoid having to go and change here, and you would have to change it here also and change it there, I made a variable of that I called max turn angle, right? So I set it, I think minus 45 is a good number, or maybe I think it was, yeah, we'll leave it at 35. That was a good number for my game. Maybe you're gonna want something more. So basically, again, there's a math expression here, so I don't know if you're familiar with that, but I'll go over it just in case. Otherwise, just close the video and go try your project. But anyway, so an absolute is gonna return basically the positive of a number. If you have minus 35, it's going to return 35. If you have minus 15, it's going to return 15. If you have 0, well, it's going to return 0. If you have 1, it's going to return 1. So in this case, I set it to minus 35, okay, so that I have my minimum, and then I plug it in here to get my opposite. That's basically just it. And that way it saves me the hassle of constantly changing. I just have to say to change a value here. Okay. Aside from that, the rotation of the roll, I constantly set it to 0 because I don't want to use a roll, so it's always set to 0. Okay. And I keep the other one here. So just set it up like this if you don't want the roll to be affected at all. And then that is it, I think. If anything doesn't work, just ask and let me know. And if you're having troubles implementing the mechanic of when you hit a wall to move him back in the right direction, let me know and I'll go over that also. Okay, so well, take care, and hopefully this helps you out. Alright, bye.